What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the 10 best basketball shoes for guards, and before we start with the list, there's one thing I want you to keep in mind, and that is every shoe can be worn for every position. It's more about play style in my personal opinion. So for example, you can have a point guard that jumps a lot, that plays very physical, that gets a lot of rebounds, and he might need more impact protection and more cushioning and more support than your traditional shifty, quick moves, crossovers, pass first point guard. So in this video, we're really going to focus on the traditional play styles of a point guard and a shooting guard. So let's get straight into it and start with number 10, which is going to be the Serious Player Only Player 1 Plus. Don't get me wrong, they're an amazing performer, as are all these shoes here on this list, so it's actually kind of hard to rank them, but the latter models, there's just some minor things holding them back. For this shoe, the main thing that I don't like is that the materials are kind of stiff, so it takes some time to break them in and they can pinch a little bit, especially while running. And if there's a little bit of dead space in there, they can pinch, and because they're so stiff, it kind of hurts at first. Apart from that, this is a really awesome performer. I especially like the traction performance. As you can see here, it's a translucent outsole. For the traction pattern, we have the Serious Player Only logo, kind of an S pattern all over the outsole. There's also colorways with a solid rubber outsole, and they are even durable enough for outdoors. What I also like a lot about them, and which makes them an awesome option, is the drop-in midsole. This is the explosive midsole, and you actually have exchangeable drop-in midsoles on their website, which is an amazing thing. So if you want more cushioning, you can get the explosive one. If you want less cushioning, there's a quick midsole, there's a bounce midsole, so there's really a lot of different options and you can purchase them separately. I talked about the materials already. Support is also very good. As you can see, we have a heel counter externally and internally, and we also have a carbon fiber shank plate here in the midfoot. So overall, these are a really good performer. For the fit, I would go true to size, but they are a little bit narrow, so just keep that in mind. For number 9 on my list, I have the Curry 12 from Curry brand. These are also one heck of a performer, but two things are holding them back. One for me is that the impact protection isn't very good, especially in the heel, and that's something I personally need. And the other thing is that while they have probably the best bite you can get on the market on a clean court, they do struggle a bit with dusty courts, especially if they pick up dust, you will kind of slip out a little bit. But if you're playing on a clean indoor court, on a moderately clean indoor court, this is the best traction performance you can get. And if you don't mind the lower to the ground cushioning setup, these are really an amazing performer. They stop so hard, sometimes it even makes you trip. The materials are very soft, very thin, but still containing and supportive. You have a full length shank plate. You can see it here a little bit for this cutout in the outsole. Of course, the outsole is what they call flow foam. This outsole and midsole are integrated into the same thing. And as you can see, if we try to flex them, they are really stable and also very supportive. So definitely don't take these outdoors. They will vanish, like the outsole will vanish in minutes. But if you're indoors and if you don't mind a lower to the ground setup, these are an amazing option, and there's also some really cool colorways available. Next up, we have a pair from New Balance. It's the Hezi Low Volume 2. And these are actually also a really nice performer, and there's not really one thing that I don't like about them. Maybe it's that the fuel cell cushioning bottoms out relatively quickly, and maybe the materials get a little bit too soft after some time, so you're kind of not contained as well, or your foot isn't contained as well. But the traction performance really is amazing. Here you can see we have a full length translucent outsole. We've got different patterns, a radial pattern here in the heel, then we've got this little focus point here in the forefoot, which is also nice, right underneath your big toe, or the ball of your big toe. I wouldn't take these outdoors. There's definitely better options left on this list, but for indoors, they're really good. And another nice thing about them, they're only at 110 euros or dollars. By the way, if you're wondering where you can get all these kicks from, you can find affiliate links to my partner stores down below. For one, it's Kicks, where you can use the code Lucas for a discount. And then we have Way of Weight, because there's going to be some Way of Weight shoes in this video. And you can also use the code LucasSimona10. Everything's in the description box down below, or you just use the links and you'll get automatic discounts on eligible models. Next up, number 7, is the Adidas AE1 Low. And you also have to keep in mind, this is my personal list, so it's my personal likings, but I still think it's going to be good for most guards. I'm around 6'2", play shooting guard, but I have kind of, let's say, a bigger playstyle than my height. I get a lot of rebounds, I jump a lot for my playstyle. There's some other videos, you can check out my highlights to get a little bit of a feeling of how I play and why I like certain shoes. I also have very wide feet, that also always comes into account in my videos. or gets taken into account. Now for the AE1 lows, I know they're a very controversial pair because what holds them back is that some people experience heel slip, so I would definitely recommend you try them on in store. What makes them very good is a very nice performing traction pattern. We have a kind of herringbone pattern in a V shape and it performs very well. It's not very durable, so I also wouldn't take these outdoors. We have light boost, what they call. The A1 high is also a nice option, but I like the lows a little bit more just because they're lower to the ground in the forefoot and the heel still has decent impact protection. The highs just have more cushioning. That's pretty much the biggest difference to the lows, and of course the extra material here on top, and I didn't experience heel slip. The support is also very good. We have the Adidas X plate. You can see it here for those little cutouts in the outsole a little bit, shining through in a very pink color tone. And the materials take some time to break in, but then also soften up nicely. That was something I was afraid of, that they were going to be very, very stiff, but they actually break in nicely. Of course, these are also a little bit heavier than your average basketball shoes. You also have to keep that in mind. And I would recommend you try them on in store. They fit wide footers very nicely. I think that's why they fit me so well and why I didn't experience heel slip, because my feet are just so wide here in the front that it keeps my heel locked in, especially if I tie them down very tightly. Now, moving on to number 6 on the list, first pair from Wear Weight. The All City 13, really an amazing performer and maybe even the best value for money shoe on the market. 160 euros or dollars, and as I said, with my code you can get them for cheap. They really have amazing performance, durable enough for outdoors. There's different colorways with solid rubber outsoles. We have GCU in the heel and their normal rubber in the forefoot. It's very, very durable. We have a full length boom cushioning midsole. You can see it very well here on this side. It's very, very comfortable, great impact protection in the heel, still relatively low to the ground in the forefoot. That's essentially why I like them so much. And we also have colorways that have a little bit thicker material. So if you want more support, go for those. If you want breathability, go for a colorway like this one, for example. I really like it, very, very clean. There's also an all yellow colorway that would go crazy in a mismatch if you're into that type of stuff. Support is very, very good. We've got a Euro plate, of course, inspired by Dwayne Wade's famous Euro step. A heel corner, I mean, it's very prominent here with this moon inspired design here. The external one, we also have an internal one, and the lacing system also works really well. And I mentioned the materials here on this colorway. They are very nice, thin and breathable, but there's also options with synthetic leather that are a little bit thicker and that contain your foot a little bit better. Now moving into the top 5, the first pair I have is from Nike again. It's the Nike Sabrina 2. I really, really like these. The one thing that's holding them back, in my personal opinion, is torsional support. Unfortunately, if you try to bend them, they flex in the midfoot, which I just don't like as much. But apart from that, they really are an amazing performer. Also, probably the best Nike basketball option if you have wide feet, especially in the midfoot, and the toe box is also still very wide. Traction performance, we have a herringbone type pattern, and it grips the floor very, very well. I feel like the colorways with the translucent outsole even grip the floor a little bit harder and better, especially if the court is dusty. The solid rubber colorways also work. I wouldn't take them outdoors because the upper especially is not very durable. I get a lot of messages from people texting me and saying, hey, that happened with your Sabrinas as well. Mine ripped after like 5 wears, and well, I rotate shoes a lot usually and doesn't happen. But as you can see here, is also already a little sign of wear and tear where the upper is probably going to rip very soon. So I wouldn't take them outdoors, indoor only. But as I said, a very, very good performer. Cushioning setup is extremely low to the ground, almost no impact protection in the heel, just foam here, and in the forefoot we have an air zoom unit. You can really feel it as much, take some time to break in. So it's not very bouncy or anything, but it's just a very nice low to the ground, very stable ride, which I like, especially for shooting practices. I always want to be close to the ground and have a wide and stable base, which these do extremely well. Now for the top 4, at number 4, this might be a little bit surprising, is the Adidas Dame 9. I got them in, I think, February or March, sometime around that, and I really, really like them. I love the cushioning setup. It's extremely comfortable. Overall, the shoe is just so damn comfy, and now we're kind of starting to get into those models that don't really have a big downside. They just have a lot of upside that you can go with, and why they're a nice performer. These are definitely for kind of bigger guards that need that extra cushion and plushness in the heel. In the forefoot, you're still relatively low to the ground. We've got patent synthetic leather upper here on this colorway. There's a few different types of uppers. I really like that this has this kind of patent leather vibe, but it's all synthetic materials, synthetic leather overlays on other colorways as well, and of course some synthetic mesh and fuse just here in the midfoot area. It's also very padded, especially in the heel area, which is great. The traction performance also works really, really well. You can see here it's a translucent outsole. We can also see the Adidas X plate here in the outsole again. Here you can see it even better than on the AE1s. And for the pattern, it's kind of a Thunderbolt-like pattern here. It's a little bit weird. It's also not the most durable, so I also wouldn't take these outdoors, but it performs very, very well on indoor courts. I talked about the cushioning setup already. The materials are very soft, very padded, and the support features here are also very, very good. One thing you need to keep in mind that can be a little bit weird is this inner booty construction here. You don't have a traditional tongue, so it can be a little bit weird to slip your foot in there. It can feel a little weird at first, but lockdown is actually still very good in my personal opinion. I had no issues, just like with the AE1 lows, and they're also nice for wide feet, which is always a good thing. Now for the top three, the first pair I have in there is the Nike GD Cut 3. Those are really an amazing option. Downside, very expensive, 200 euros or dollars, and they slightly lack torsional support. So if I try to bend them, it's also kind of easy to flex them. But apart from that, these really are a perfect performer. The traction performance is very, very good. Same as with this 302, I kind of feel like the colorways with the translucent outsole grip the court a little bit better. For the traction pattern, this is also kind of like a funnel bolt-like pattern, but it's connected all the way through. It's also not for outdoors because the outsole is not very durable. If you want to have similar performance to these and play outdoors, I'd go for the GD Cut Academy. Those do very well outdoors. The cushioning setup is the best thing about them. Full length Zoom X is so damn comfy. They are incredibly light as well, still relatively supportive. And the materials, as I said, very thin, and they conform to your feet very well. And after some time, they're actually also kind of nice for wide feet, which might be a surprise. At number 2, this is probably the best option for outdoors, the Wade 808 Ultra. They also come with a drop-in midsole, and this time it's not only a boom drop-in midsole, but a super boom drop-in midsole, which makes these insanely nice, very bouncy, great impact protection, and still relatively low to the ground in your forefoot. We have a nice and durable outsole. You can see a carbon fiber shank plate here in the midfoot as well. We also have some carbon fiber accents on other colorways right here in the heel, so kind of heel contour. Here we don't have it, but it's still a very, very supportive shoe. And what's also nice is that they improved the material quality drastically compared to the 808 These are way thinner, way softer. The only thing I don't like about them is that they are quite narrow, so they're not the best for my feet. That's also why I don't wear them as much, and that's why I didn't put them at number 1, even though the overall performance is absolutely amazing. For those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you probably guessed what's going to be the number 1 shoe for guards. It's the Nike Book 1. In my opinion, this is the perfect shoe for guards. Great impact protection in the heel for heel strikes or heavy landings, and very low to the ground in the forefoot. We've got a really thick air zoom unit here. The rest of the midsole is just Cushlon 3.0, and in my opinion, this is the perfect cushioning setup for guards. I know some of you might want more cushioning, some of you might want less cushioning in the heel. That's okay, I gave you options for all of that, but for me, this is the perfect shoe for guards. We've got a herringbone traction pattern. There's also colorways with translucent outsoles and with solid rubber outsoles. Here we have a solid rubber one, and they are even durable enough for outdoors with those solid rubber colorways. Again, as with the other Nike shoes, I feel like the translucent kind of grips better, and this one picks up a little bit more dust, but there's not really that big of a difference in there. So if you like colorway more with a solid rubber outsole, they also have very good traction performance. The materials on this colorway, it's on all synthetic, kind of a denim vibe. There's colorways with leather uppers, and then there's colorways with synthetic materials. I prefer the synthetic ones. For one, I'm vegan, so I don't use animal products. And the second reason why I like them more is because they're a little bit thinner and feel lighter on foot, but that's also just a personal preference. All colorways really have good performance. Support features, last but not least, are also very good. It might look like you're a little bit high off the ground because this midsole design here is kind of Air Force One, Jordan 1 inspired, but you're actually sitting a little bit underneath here. We've got a shank plate in the midfoot, we've got a heel counter, and as you can see, we've got excellent torsional stability as well. So no flexing in the midfoot area where you should, or where your foot should be supported. With that being said, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. One question that I'm sure I'm going to get in the comments is why there are no Kobe shoes in this video. That's simply because they are still very hard to get. My picks for guys would be the 8 and the 9, and of course the 6 also works, but especially the 6, just very, very hard to get, very expensive. Almost all Kobe models are, and some of them are a little overrated as well. That's why I decided not to put them in the video, but of course they're also amazing performers. My favorites, as I said, 8, 9 and 6. If you have any other questions, if you think any other shoe should be here, just let me know down below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Maybe I just haven't tried them, or maybe I didn't like them as much. With that being said, I would really appreciate if you could leave a follow or a subscription if you liked the video. Leave a like as well, and as I said, comment your thoughts down below. Have a good one and see you next time.